And I feel like there's a lot of this like top down on the left. And I'm not trying to just like bag on the left. I don't care really about that. Like, I don't even care about the politics. I care more about like where the cultural liquidity is. And it's like, you can't talk down to people. There's this like Ivy League pretentiousness in the Democratic Party, I feel, where they're like, we know better, and just, you must be stupid if you don't agree with us. And it's like, all right, well, I'm stupid. I'm dumb.
Yeah.
I'm dumb then. So why doesn't somebody meet me where I'm stupid and start at least making me feel like I'm not an asshole for the way that I, for my, I guess you could say, political leanings now. Yeah, I feel like they need to meet. And it's a very simple thing. Make it a class issue, and I think they win.
The Democrats have always made it a class issue. They forever have. So he and Joe, and what you'll notice in this, I know I can watch the whole video, but what you'll notice in this is that as much as they agree with Donald Trump and the whole MAGA movement, they lament the fact that it's not the Democrats. That's their big problem, is that they really want it to be the Democrats who are doing all this positive stuff, but it's not. What they fail to realize is that it's no longer left and right. It is actually establishment, which it has been for 100+ years. It's the establishment government versus these interlopers that started out as the Tea Party but became MAGA.
Say what you want about America, but I think it's better if we have two people running for president that we're stoked about, and it's a really hard decision.
Oh, yeah. That would be wonderful. Yeah, that's not what we had. We had one group of people that legitimately wanted to change things, and then we're going to see what happens if they do. But you're seeing weird stuff today that you never see before,
like
which
what?
is like a real adjustment to the age of the internet. One of the things you're seeing is, I don't know if you saw the 22 different Congress people who were all saying the exact same line with the word shit in it.
What was the line?
So it's like, it's this speech. They're reading it verbatim.
Yeah.
They're all reading it and doing it to a microphone as if it's a rant. But they're all doing from the same script, and the shit ain't right.
So this is
the shit ain't right is the beginning of it. When in the history of the United States
has a politician
said shit?
Yeah.
And not just one, but 22 of them in tape record. Can you pull it up just so we can see it? Because it's so nuts.
This is think
when
tank
you see them all
politics.
together, it's just like they have it on screens as tiles, and they're all saying the same words. They all have their own little flair they put on it.
Yeah.
Look at this. Put your headphones on. This is fucking bananas.
Terrible. It's hard to listen to.
It's okay. You won't be able to, you can't really tell. It's like,
What you'll notice in there, if you watch the whole thing, what happens is most of them are standing and then they sit. Most of them have the same microphone. They say the same thing in their own cadence. They use the same piece of footage later on in the little quick video to emphasize what they're saying. The Democratic Party is bought and paid for. You can say that about the Republican Party too. Again, it comes down to the establishment. It is the establishment. Well, Trump could have done this with the Democratic Party, but they fought him. So he did it with the Republican Party because he was going against Hillary. Trust me, if it was the Republican Party that had gone so far off the rails, became very pro-war, which the left are, became very elitist, which the left are. If it had been him, if it had been like McCain was there, or, any Republican that you can think of that's pretty much a rhino, say that guy out of Utah. If it had been a Republican doing this, it would have been Trump running as a Democrat. But it was the Democrats that were doing this, so Trump ran as a Republican because for the most part, he's an independent guy who supported the Democrats for the majority of his life because he believed that they were the party that were most amenable to changing how politics were in America. He didn't realize that they were going to be what the Republican Party once were, but on steroids. Pro-censorship, pro-war, pro-anti-populist, pro-capitalism, pro-corporation, which is exactly what they've become. The only thing that's different from the honestly the reign of Republicans in the 80s and early 90s is they're not pro-Christian. That's a huge factor, but the Republicans didn't have nearly the power that the Democrats do now.
Like a
Right.
crowd. But when they had three of them, when it was the first three, was like it was Chuck Schumer and someone else.
Yeah.
They're saying the exact Elizabeth Warren and someone else.
Yeah.
They're saying the exact same words.
Yeah.
In the exact same subjects in the exact same order. You guys are all reading off a script, and you're trying by putting the word shit in there to be
be-
authentic.
Well,
Shit ain't right.
to be specifically authentic, they're like, we
Yeah.
need to speak to working class
kids.
people, to the kids.
Yeah.
And it is kind of like
not
bigoted
the
in a weird
kids.
way where like, it feels like they're almost in a think tank like, hey, listen, these poor dummies, they like it when you curse.
Yeah.
So if you use a few curse words in your speech, they're going to really relate to you.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, we actually need somebody disruptive. We need somebody on the left that might speak like that, but authentically speaks like that, and is willing to disrupt even what's happening on the left. Because if you look at like what happened with the
That's what Trump did. Trump was on the left, and he disrupted what the left were doing. You had the left. There was that thing that the left started saying after Joe Rogan had Donald Trump on there, which was the left need their own Joe Rogan. That was Joe Rogan. You had your Joe Rogan. But the left has gone so far left that anything slightly right of left is now considered not right, but extremely right. So this whole idea of middle ground and compromise and kind of meeting like what best works for both sides is no longer a thing anymore. I go back. You have pro-establishment, which is the fascism that we've seen. The left use the word fascism all the time. They have no idea what it means. They call Charlie Kirk and Trump a fascist or whatever. Fascism is when the media, the corporations, and the government all work in tandem towards the same agenda. That has been the left forever, and it was definitely the left the last 4 years of Obama, the first 4 years of Trump, working against Trump wholeheartedly, and definitely the 4 years of Biden where it was on steroids, where the media, the government, and corporations were all on the same. That's fascism. And it goes back to Marxism, which is accuse your enemy of what you are guilty of. And that's exactly what they did. They called these guys who are actually fighting against it fascist. Brooklyn Nine-Nine, this TV show I watched, they said resist, as if the left were the resistance. The left aren't the resistance. Again, these people are lost. They are lost, and they're counting on the ignorance and the lack of knowledge of their political base to get where they're going. You can say that about MAGA if you want to. I totally get that. You can say that about MAGA, the MAGA base. But what you can't say about the MAGA base is that they're fascist, because they are the ones who are fighting the establishment.
the Trump and the movement, like he disrupted the right. The right looks very different now than it did.
He
you know,
disrupted
5,
the
10 years ago,
establishment.
right?
Definitely.
So I want like
Like a MAGA Democrat.
yeah, like for real. Like and what is that? Like what do we at our baseline want, right? We like abundance. Tell me how great America is going to be in your version of it.
You want a Bill Clinton?
Talk that shit.
You want a Bill Clinton. You want a serial rapist tied to Epstein who has done some of the most vile shit in the world. You want him. That, again, is them lamenting the fact that the Democrats aren't in power. Bill Clinton, very pro-war. Didn't say it, but was very pro-war. Look at his record. The Democratic Party were so convinced that George H. Bush was going to win in 92 that they ran Bill Clinton basically as a sacrificial lamb. They really did. They thought he was going to lose. And then, and this is a whole other story, but the quick of it is, George Bush was running for a second term. They knew he was going to win. Then, so they were like, all right, let's run that Bill Clinton guy, because there's no way he wins. And then you had a divisionary candidate that came in and disrupted both sides. And it was this little midget from Texas who was really, really rich. He disrupted it. He fell out. Bush raised taxes. A lot of things happened. And there were a lot of things that ended up working for the Democratic Party, but it was too late because they had already put Clinton forward, and he got the nomination and he won. But Bill Clinton didn't win on simply his charm. He won on missteps and mistakes by the Republican Party. And on top of that, he won because of a third candidate. And Ross Perot disrupted everything. So the Democratic Party ended up with Bill Clinton because they knew the baggage that was going to come with Clinton. They knew the baggage that was going to come with him. But once he won it, they were like, run this baby until he falls apart. And they did. And he was a terrible president. He was an absolute terrible president. But the Democrats are going to tell you he was fantastic because that's what they say about all their presidents. That's what they say about Barack Obama, who brought racism into popularity again. They're going to say that about Joe Biden, who had no idea what was going on the last couple of years of his presidency, if not before then. That's just who they are. No matter who's in charge, they support him. But look, they'll claim that MAGA is a cult. They'll claim that MAGA is a cult. They'll say you're in a cult. The Democrats will applaud anything that a Democratic Party person does. But Donald Trump, if he does something that his base doesn't like, they'll argue on him about it. And a perfect example of that.
The great state of Texas.
Whoever, I forget who President Trump brought out. You can look it up. It's very easy. But he introduced somebody and the MAGA faithful booed. All right, if you're in a cult, you don't disagree with the leader. The left never disagree with the left. But MAGA disagree with MAGA. That is a perfect example of the fact that MAGA is not in a cult. But again, the left call MAGA a cult all the time, and it goes back to Marxism. Accuse your enemy of what you are guilty of. And these jackasses lament the left so bad, they would love to have Bill Clinton back. How crazy is that?
Like, come out talking shit. Bernie was talking shit, and I want you to come out, and if Trump can say we're going to take Greenland, there can be some Dem that goes $1 eggs and straight up says we're going to subsidize it.
How would you do that? You subsidize it?
Subsidize corn, you subsidize dairy, you subsidize everything. Like, why can we not subsidize it? But say something that's actually going to impact people. Now, Trump's not going to take Greenland, so maybe you don't get the $1 eggs, but you get this messaging across that you're actually trying to help people. Mm-hmm. And you're going to have to deal with those lobbies that are bankrolling you, and that might piss.
All right, so what these guys failed to realize is that it's not about, he's arguing what they should do because he wants the left to be the good guys again. The left are about, they want you to kneel before their agenda. And we saw that. We saw that they could not applaud a young boy who all he wants to do is be a police officer. They could not applaud a law that was to protect not only American citizens, but young American women. They couldn't applaud these things. They would applaud them all day long if they were the ones implementing it. That's how lost they are. They can't applaud things that are a positive, no matter who introduces the legislation, whether it was the left or the right. That's a cult.